Happy Tuesday, everybody. I hope everyone's staying safe and well and mostly happy during this month of January. There's a lot of things going on, so I hope you can find some relief. Jamie and I are here to just chat with you about Montessori, which is what we're always here for. I posted some links on our Instagram about the recent events. And if you need any advice or resources, don't hesitate to email us at allthingsmontessoripod@gmail.com. We're here for you if you need any support. Otherwise, I'm so pumped for our episode today. Jamie and I have a pretty exciting announcement, and we're talking about a new venture that we're starting. It's great. So can't wait for you guys to listen. I wanted to quickly talk about writing a review. So we are so grateful for the reviews that we've gotten. Thank you to everybody who's left a review. I can't tell you how much those reviews help. To everybody who's rated us, our 5-star rating, thank you so much. We seriously thank you so much. We appreciate that. Jamie and I work really hard to make this content, really just make sense and be real and be helpful. So we really appreciate it. So if you have any time on your hands, I know things are crazy. If you could just take a minute and go to iTunes and review us, that would be so helpful. We really, really appreciate it. And it just helps spread the word of all things Montessori. So thank you, thank you, thank you. This episode is brought to you by Patreon. If you want to become a patron of us, you can follow the link below or go to patreon.com. You can search all things Montessori, and you can sign up for the tiers that we have available. We do extra content for our Patreon members. There is some merchandise you can get. It's fun to be a patron of all things Montessori. I'll say it. So join us on Patreon. We would love to have you. This episode is also brought to you by Sapling Supply. We love Sapling Supply. They're an amazing Montessori furniture company. So you can go ahead and check them out. The website is also below, and you can get 10% off anything site-wide using our promo code ATM10. And once again, thank you everybody for listening. Jamie and I are just always blown away by your support. So anybody who has emailed, commented, DM'd, written a review, become a patron, whatever, we are so grateful. And I hope everybody enjoys this episode. Hi, Jamie. How are you?
I'm doing pretty well. How are you, Rachel?
I'm okay. It's 2021.
It is 2021. And it's been a hectic week in many ways.
Sure.
And
yeah.
Still feels like 2020 when we're seeing the sort of craziness of what's still happening and in the world and in the United States in particular. But
I think tumultuous. I don't know. There's many different adjectives I could use to describe it, but it's been a week. That's for sure. I've seen so many things online about like this year has been, or like today's felt like 3 years or something, or this week's felt like, I don't know.
I know.
Just how long it's been. Yeah.
We've watched, a terrorist attack on our nation's capital. The pandemic in the United States is reaching, the worst levels ever. We had over 4,000 deaths yesterday. It's again still a very tough time to be a human on this planet and see all the challenges that we have to face. So I hope all of our listeners are doing things to breathe and take care of themselves so that you can be the supportive adults to the children that you're serving. So be sure that you're finding things to support you so that you can support the children.
Yes, absolutely. Self-care couldn't be more important. Just because it's a new year doesn't mean that problems go away, right?
That's right.
It's still just because, everyone's like, well, thank God 2020's over. I'm like, well, that doesn't really mean anything.
Right. We're
still going through a lot. Yeah.
We are going through a lot. And, one thing that I know a lot of us look at to help us in these times where we start to feel some perhaps even hopelessness in the world is that we can look at the children and see the potential for a better future. And so we have to keep remembering that, keep that optimism while being very realistic about the tremendous challenges that we have. So, but the children that we work with, are going to be able to bring, new solutions to some of these problems as they grow. So there is hope there.
Yeah.
In the children.
I was going to say, I just remember you saying something in training, and then I remember actually experiencing it when I was practicing, when I was in the classroom. And now the problems that I was facing on this particular day are in no way as big as the problems of today. But I remember you saying that, you enter the classroom and, it's a new experience in there. And sometimes you have to leave your personal baggage at the door and see that potential and work with the children. And I remember feeling that was really therapeutic at times.
Yep.
Because they do see things through fresh eyes and everything is a new experience for them. And while they're going through a lot this year, they are soaking in it all. So it's a little bit of a different situation than the experience I'm talking about. But I just remember feeling a lot of sanctuary in the classroom in that way. And I think the children find that too.
Yeah.
If it's a safe space.
When they can be in the classroom, which is
right. I know.
We're still, for many of us, I know, struggling to not be together in person. But on a theme of sort of looking, toward the future and toward the hope, Rachel and I are working on a pretty exciting new project. Right, Rachel?
Yeah. It's it's amazing. Oh my gosh. And we've been kind of just so excited to talk to everybody about it, but we didn't want to just spill the beans until, it felt right. And we have been working on just this exciting new venture. Jamie and I are opening a wildflower school together. And Jamie, do you want to just do a little run through about what wildflower school means? Just like a quick little thing.
Yeah. So I'd encourage people to take a look at the wildflowerschools.org that talks about the philosophy and the principles for opening a wildflower school. But they're essentially micro schools. And so we'll be starting just a classroom, and it'll be a one classroom school. And we'll, really adhere to the principles of wildflower in our work, which is a focus on equity, a focus on, a small storefront classroom, authentic Montessori. There's a number of other principles, but we'll really be living into those principles and values in the work that we do at our school called Lavender Montessori.
Yes. And I'll link everything below, and I will put something on our Instagram too, because we have a website and we're just we're getting everything, we're gearing up, to really get this started. And we're going to open in September 2021, hopefully.
Yes, we will.
We will. Well, I know we will, one way or another. I just, the pandemic, whatever. Anyway, I can't think about that. But yeah, this is to be a little ooey gooey over here. This has been a dream of mine to work with Jamie, in a professional way, forever. And so the podcast was my first, way to working with her. And then, things just kind of fell into place. And she kept asking me to work for her for this. And I, for some reason, kept saying no. I don't know what I was thinking. And then kind of had a moment where I was like, what am I doing? That sounds amazing. And here we are.
Yep. So we're really excited because one of our real focus is that we want to really fully implement Montessori principles in the classroom. And we want to puzzle through any obstacles we encounter, all the issues that I've heard from teachers around the world, and that we've experienced ourselves. We want to be able to find a way to overcome those obstacles, whether it's,
That's right.
Well, we won't have we won't have the administrative pressures because we will be the.
That's true.
But looking at what makes this hard to do, and how can we find some strategies to still allow us to be able to fully implement Montessori for the elementary children. So, it'll be for elementary children. We're gonna do everything that we're supposed to be doing with the children, but we're also going to truly be a kind of a lab school. So we're going to observe the children and respond to what they show us and try some new things. We've got some plans to work on some other things in music with the children, since our music is very Eurocentric. In our albums, we want to look at. We'll do some work with history, and so this will be some of the work that I'm also doing with Rising Tide that we'll have an opportunity to test with the children at Sea Lavender. So it's going to be an exciting place.
I know. I'm so pumped because I think, like, just to go back a little bit to those obstacles that you encounter in the classroom, those are really real. And I have felt a lot of them. And it's just because being a Montessori teacher can be really hard. And it can feel impossible. I remember having moments where I felt like it was impossible to do it all right. Because when you're passionate about, what you work in, you want to do it completely authentically. And I remember feeling really like a failure, that I wasn't doing this 100%. And it didn't feel very good. And that's my own stuff that I was holding on to. But also I think a lot of teachers feel that way. And I think whether it's pressures from administration, from yourself, from other teachers, from the parent community, what have you, I think you can really feel stuck. And then you kind of just get in a routine and it's okay. But I think, Jamie, I know that you ran your classroom in Seattle, authentically, and it's possible, which I think is incredibly inspiring because while I loved my time in the classroom and even with my virtual teaching, like I tried to do it as best I can, but still there are some times where doubt would creep in my mind. So as the one who, as a teacher coming into this experience, I feel incredibly grateful because I think it's like, oh, we can make that happen. Mm-hmm. Oh, you don't know how to get a going out program started? No problem. Let's do it. And I think the coaching aspect of that, having you there with me through that, is incredibly. I just feel incredibly lucky because it's such a teaching moment where sometimes you just need somebody right beside you saying, yeah, we can do that. Let's just do it this way. Or why don't you look at it this way? Or, anything like that. I'm just excited. And I'm, these children, it's just going to be so much fun also.
I know. I'm excited to be with children again for some of my day. And I'm excited to support you and to really be able to say, okay, we're encountering this issue. How can we creatively solve the problem that we're finding in terms of Montessori implementation? Or how can, rather than, I remember how it felt like I don't have time to solve these problems and I don't have time, like it's overwhelming. So I'm excited after being away from the classroom for so long to go back in and be able to start thinking, okay, how can we get through this? And then when we find some things that work, we'll share them with you guys. We'll say,
yes,
we'll be able to share with you things we found to solve some of those common problems. And they won't always solve everyone else's problems. I'm fully aware of that. And it might work one year and we have to shift it another year. That's the nature of this work.
Yeah.
But we're
totally right.
But we're going to be able to, collaborate and problem solve through a lot of this, and then also, and also just have that experience of the optimism of working with children every day, and the potential that exists within each of them, as they start to, reveal themselves and their thinking to us. It's going to be exciting. And of course, to be able to work with you, Rachel, like that is super exciting too. Like that we get to see each other every day and watch these children together. Like it's, and, because of course we'll be doing lots of observation, and
that's right.
And
that's right.
Responding and being creative like that. Yeah. It's going to be really fun and exciting. So I'm thrilled that we get to share this with all of you listeners, and you'll be hearing more about it, as we continue, I'm sure, because we won't be able to resist talking about it.
No, we're going to talk about it all the time. Well, I mean, everything that goes into, just getting a classroom ready, all of that. And then, joining a new community, how to make those connections, right? And starting a classroom and, getting that community feel together, all of those like nitty-gritty details that are so exciting and also exhausting. Yeah, we're going to talk about it all the time. Actually, I wanted to ask Jamie, what do you think the top like five might be too many. What are like the top obstacles that you hear the most with teachers when they're struggling with this? What do you think?
I would say administrative expectations, like outputs or something.
Okay.
Parent expectations or stress, and children who have personalities that don't just sit and do what they're told.
Yeah.
Like, so basically every child.
Right. Like, I was like, so an elementary child.
But, like encountering, because like on the training, the way that we do it, if we invite an adult up to help demonstrate a presentation and that adult pretends to be a child, but not really, that adult just sits there and does what they're told to do. And in reality.
So agreeable.
Yeah. And so in the classroom, that's different. So I think that's one of the biggest obstacles is when teachers are confronted with real children with real personalities who don't just nod and say yes. And of course I want to do follow-up work and all of those things. I think that
I would love to make 1 million booklets just for you. It'll take the whole day.
Right. And I'll just sit here and just quietly talk to my friends while I do it. And then when you ask
Can you imagine?
me, yeah. No, I think so. That I think is, so of course it's just every child, but then also children that have some, perhaps struggles with self-regulation or decision-making or those kinds of things or impulse control. Those can be some of the biggest obstacles that I think I hear from teachers, or how do they support those children? So, so yeah, those.
Yeah, I think all of those are, I'm thinking about my own experience and with children that I've had in my class, and kind of getting a really rude awakening when I entered the classroom of, wow, okay, this is real work. And it's my favorite thing about the Montessori approach that we observe the children, we get to know them very, very well, right? Because we're not only like working with them and, guiding them through their lessons, we're also like literally scientifically observing how they behave. And you learn so much by doing that. But it's a lot because you have all these different personalities in your room, and you have some children that totally love to do follow-up work, and it's great. And then you have some that are like, no way, nothing is going to interest me ever. I dare you to interest me.
I'll take that dare.
I know, right? I know. They crack eventually, but
bring it on. Stubborn. Yeah, it's going to be so fun. But so I think that's what it's exciting to start to think about, that we're really going to be conscious of all of those things that we're encountering, and how can we figure out these humans and help them to educate themselves, and how can we help them to build themselves. And it does take that individual relationship building and the connection and the community culture. And so we'll be working on all of that. And I mean, we'll tell you what works and we'll tell you how we learned what didn't work.
Yes, because I'm sure there'll be many learning curves along the way.
Yes.
Even with, I just think of course, teaching and working with children gets easier the more you do it. But there are still moments where you're like, oh, whoops, okay, that didn't work. But that's what keeps you humble, what keeps you going, right?
Yeah.
And you're never going to do it perfectly every time.
And we learn through our mistakes. So we'll help.
Yes.
We'll learn through those too. But it is exciting to be able to be responsible for the whole school culture, for the classroom culture, because we really plan to build our parent community and build a strong sort of relationship between school and home. And the community around us. We're excited to be in a community where we can build all those connections and have some real fluidity, so that going out it just happens all the time,
it's just a thing.
Yeah,
totally.
Yeah, so it's going to be a great adventure.
We can't wait. Well, yeah, so we're going to be up in the New Jersey Shore area, and we are Lavender Montessori is the name of our learning lab / wildflower school. And I will link our website and things like that. You can check out what we're doing. And we will be talking about this more because I'm excited for our All Things Montessori community to kind of come on this journey with us, because, so much of this podcast reflects why we're doing this. It's just a mirror of why we want to bring this into the world. So we're so excited.
We are. It's going to be amazing.
That's right. So check us out and we'll keep talking about it.